A beautiful spring day in the country. A day for getting away from the city, from the heat, the dirt and the noise. The sort of day that can stir up a little romance in the hardest heart. You can feel the freshness, the cleanliness of it all. At times like this, it's easy to forget the polluted environments most of us have to live in. Big industry and all that it has swallowed up could be on another planet. Unfortunately, it's not. It's very much a part of this one. And for those of us who live in and around the big cities and industrial areas of Britain, the occasions that we can enjoy leisurely days in the country are few and far between. We live in an environment that is for the most part polluted by smoke, dirt, heat and noise. We put up with the motor car and the factory because we have to. We've given ourselves no alternative. Cars and lorries have created the biggest dilemma of all. They are so much a part of our way of life we couldn't exist without them. And yet we're letting them throttle us. But the internal combustion engine is here for many years to come. It's going to be spewing out its heat and exhaust gases into the atmosphere, whatever we do about it. And somehow we're going to have to live and breathe in the polluted atmosphere it creates. Britain is one of the world's most overcrowded countries. And on a Saturday morning in any shopping area, it certainly feels like it. A hot sunny day, especially when there's no wind, can make it even worse. People get overheated pushing their way through the crowds. They start sweating. Their tempers wear thinner by the minute. It can be 20 degrees warmer in the city than in the surrounding countryside. So it's not surprising that people get so hot, frustrated and angry. It's a situation in which the calmest of us can become ruffled and aggressive. At times like this, it's the peace and tranquility of the countryside that could be on another planet. But our feet have to be very much on the pavements of this one. Pavements that have an enormous capacity for both storing the sun's heat and reflecting it back up at us. It's a thoroughly uncomfortable world we've created for ourselves. Almost overpowering heat is reflected from the concrete buildings. But they don't just reflect it. They tend to act like gigantic storage heaters, soaking up the effects of the sun's rays and then regenerating it, and not only outside the buildings, but inside them as well. And every time they put a new building up, it seems that another one has to be knocked down. Situations like this contribute to the 50 tons of dirt and grit that fall weekly on every square mile of our industrial cities. The inevitable end of almost any demolition job, burning up the useless timber and the rubbish. If there is any way of really fouling up the atmosphere we live and breathe in, we seem to be experts at doing it. Incredibly, some people still seem to enjoy shopping expeditions around hot city streets. It depends on how much discomfort we're prepared to put up with. Even the traffic-free shopping precincts don't escape the heat and the pollution that hovers over all the built-up areas. Until scientists come up with a non-repairable road surface, we must put up with these machines which belch out their flames and smoke and smells. And more often than not, the work has to be done when people are shopping and working in nearby offices. We can inflict no end of discomforts on ourselves when we really try. Life inside the buildings can be just as grim. One of the contributors to excess heat is internal lighting, that in many cases is used all day. During a hot spell, temperatures inside the buildings can build up to as much as 25 degrees Fahrenheit higher than outside. But what happens when you open the windows? Fans can be a help, of course. They can circulate air very efficiently. But when they're blowing hot, humid air out and sucking hot, humid air in, they're not helping much. Even opening a door can be very much a two-edged sword, letting in enough dirt and heat to make a shop even more uncomfortable inside than it is out. And when you have to go into a shop like this, your afternoon out really becomes something of an ordeal. really is the hard way of doing things. The pleasure of buying a dress becomes a frustrating ordeal, but we don't have to put up with it. It can all be changed with a flick of a switch. Here is a system which scientifically, automatically and very efficiently repairs the damage we've inflicted on our atmosphere. It's air conditioning. Inside the air conditioning unit is a cooling and dehumidifying coil, which can extract a tremendous amount of excess heat and moisture from the atmosphere. At the heart of the unit is a fan, which draws the incoming air through a filter, sifting out all the dirt and dust. The dirt that the filter is taking out of the atmosphere is the dirt you'd normally be breathing into your lungs. The fan also blows the filtered air over the cooling and dehumidifying coil, which takes water out of the humid atmosphere, a lot of it coming from the people themselves. The average person can give off nearly a pint of water in 3 hours and generates as much heat as a 100-watt light bulb. On a hot day, the heat is extracted and transferred to the heat rejecting unit outside the building. During the winter months, a heating element warms up the air. It makes the interior completely independent of the elements outside. We can't all live in the countryside with the sunshine and fresh air around us all the time. But there's no reason why we shouldn't take full advantage of what modern technology can do to help. A shop fitted with air conditioning is a pleasure to be in, as well as to work in. This one has a constantly open door with an air screen installed. It means the environment inside this shop will still be effectively controlled. And who knows, the return of a fresh, clean, cool environment may even bring a return of some of those old-fashioned courtesies regrettably absent in so many shops. In this shop, the conditioned air is dispensed evenly through hundreds of tiny slots from a ducting system which has been built in over a false ceiling. It provides just the right environment all the year round. The air vents are in full view in this men's boutique, but they blend in well with the decor. You might not even notice them unless they were pointed out, and that's ideally what efficient air conditioning means, creating an atmosphere that's just right. Not too hot, not too cold. So right, in fact, that you simply don't realize it's there. And there's nothing like a pleasant atmosphere and a relaxed and helpful assistant to make you feel more inclined to spend your money. This is the symbol that shows a shop is air-conditioned. It is an invitation to the customer to come in and just relax. This shoe shop had a serious overheating problem, with summer temperatures rocketing as high as 99 degrees Fahrenheit. With the system fitted, the temperature is kept at a comfortable 72 degrees Fahrenheit all the year round. flower shop, it's not just a question of keeping the customers and staff comfortable. It's vital that the flowers themselves be kept cool. And so a system of 2 units has been fitted to the walls. The units are attractive enough, so there's no need to try and conceal them in this sort of situation. It's in a place like this, an underground bistro in the heart of the city, where the difference air conditioning can make can be dramatically felt. Without a system, the place can be thoroughly uncomfortable for an evening out. But with one, a comfortable rendezvous to relax and enjoy yourself. Crowds of people smoking and drinking, and the inevitable heat and smells that come from confined kitchens provide no problems for an efficient air conditioning unit. It creates an environment that's about as far from the smoky tap room and the smell of stale drink as you can get. When you go out to dinner, you'll almost certainly notice things like the decor, service and music. But the best thing about air conditioning is that you shouldn't notice it at all. Wherever the system is fitted, you can control it to give you the best possible environment. Regardless of the weather outside, it will heat, cool, clean, remove moisture, and keep the air moving gently. You can live and work in completely controlled conditions. And the owners and managers of all kinds of offices, shops and businesses are quickly finding out all about the extra benefits that come with air conditioning installations.
Well, on a hot day, when customers do come in here, I know how they feel because I feel the same. They feel perspiry and hot, and their hands are all clammy. But when they come into an atmosphere like this, they feel completely cool and relaxed. Therefore, when they handle merchandise, the stock doesn't get soiled or dirty in any way.
It's made the condition of working very much pleasant for us and for the customers. You know, we get a lot of comments that when people coming in the winter, they come into a nice warm shop, but it's not, you know, a direct heat hitting you as soon as you walk in the door like some places. Or again in the summer, coming in from a very hot and stuffy street with the air, and it's a very pleasant condition inside.
We were a little bit worried about the upheaval, but eventually we took the plunge, and in the event there was very, very little upheaval. There was very little alteration to be done afterwards, or rebuilding to be done. I think it cost us a couple of rolls of wallpaper and a little bit of wood and hardboard.
Well, when I first came up here, this was just a garage, and I've been making improvements right from the start. And one of the improvements was to have a terrazzo tiled floor, which I thought would help keep the temperature down, but even that wasn't enough. So when I saw this air conditioning, I thought, well, that seems to be the answer. And after I got that fitted in, I wish I'd had it in the year before.
Well, the reason we installed it in the first place, we felt in a rather confined space it was necessary to have controlled air. And we had discussed various systems, and this one we felt was the most appropriate for this area. And it was agreed, and we installed it, and we've been more than satisfied with it. Absolutely first class.
So once you've installed the unit, you should be looking forward to happier staff and more satisfied customers. And all for something as apparently ordinary as fresh air. Almost anything can happen in that sort of atmosphere, even though it might be going a bit far to suggest it's all due to air conditioning. The message on the symbol is a basic statement of fact. What it is really offering is simply a breath of spring.